All right, everybody, let's have some fun. Go ahead and let me know if the audio is working okay. Facebook and in here as well. I hope all of you are having fantastic Wednesdays. We got a lot of news to dive into. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. This show brought to you by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. My gambling picks are up on Outkick right now. And we have a big news story for you. Tomorrow morning, in the first hour of the show, Lane Kiffin, a.k.a. Joey Freshwater, a.k.a. Joey Saltwater, will be on our show. You need to set your alarm. You need to wake up. Hour number 1, me, Clay Travis, Outkick the Coverage, and Lane Kiffin with us for an hour. It is going to be fabulous. You can stream it on Fox Sports Radio Live. You can go to one of your 250 affiliate stations nationwide. If you have Sirius XM, you can listen live on Channel 83. And as always, you can go download the podcast. It'll be up 30 minutes after the show ends. Let's say you sleep in. It's 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. You guys are going to absolutely lose it. It is going to be fantastic. Yes, I will ask him about the legend of Joey Freshwater. I guarantee it. We will get to the bottom of this story once and for all. Lane will be on again all of hour 1, 6 to 7 Eastern. Set your clocks. And we'll play more excerpts from it after the whole thing airs on Thursday in the afternoon. Also, I believe we will have Jason Whitlock. Tomorrow's show is going to be absolutely loaded. So it is going to be fantastic. Get ready for what should be a phenomenal show. All right, let's go ahead and hit a couple of different things. Kentucky fans, any questions about Lane Kiffin? I'll start off with any questions about Lane Kiffin. Again, Lane Kiffin live, hour 1 tomorrow. My biceps and triceps do look huge. I appreciate you guys saying that. Will Lane just be getting home? Fantastic question. I don't know for sure, but it will be outstanding. Okay, here we go. Amazing situation here. Kentucky fans, not content with being ridiculed this morning for absolutely savaging this poor guy John Higgins' Facebook page over his home repair roofing business, which is called, by the way, Roofery. Unbelievable. Perfect name for a roofing business if you are a referee and you have no sense of humor. So John Higgins has a roofing business which is called Roofery. Kentucky fans have decided that they're going to blame him for losing the game. They're not going to blame themselves for not covering Luke May, for allowing him to run down the court in the final 6 seconds, for him to be standing wide open when they tried to have the scramble situation, and the fact that he drained that jumper and he was wide open. They're also not blaming themselves or their team for the fact that John Calipari's offense, when Roy Williams went to zone, looked like they had never seen a zone before, or for the fact that they went scoreless for multiple minutes, or for the fact that the only reason they were ever able to get back in that game was because they hit some ridiculous three-point baskets, including 2 by Monk, and they also got a 5-second count, which allowed them to get possession without having to foul. The fouls in this game were almost exactly identical. In fact, Kentucky had received more foul calls on their behalf than North Carolina had until Kentucky started to intentionally foul at the end of the game, forcing North Carolina to step to the line and make free throws. Of course, none of this matters because Kentucky fans are absolutely insane when it comes to basketball. And when it comes to basketball, they have absolutely no ability whatsoever to discern any kind of intelligence whatsoever. And so, as a result, the Big Blue Nation had John Calipari, despite the fact that he has 28 NBA players in the last 2 years, which is twice as many as anybody else in all of college basketball, and has only won 1 title, instead of blaming their numbnuts coach, instead of blaming his continued decision to only sign freshmen and therefore have fully developed players on the court who have not spent much time in tight game scenarios, they don't blame any of that. They decide to go after John Higgins. And as a result, they are now calling and making death threats to John Higgins to such an extent that he had to meet with authorities for 2 hours in order to help hopefully get this thing resolved, and also probably to ask for protection for his wife over the weekend while he calls the Final Four. This is unacceptable. This is indefensible, and I'm going to tell you who I blame right now. I blame all Kentucky media for this. I went and I listened, and I may play this for you on the radio show tomorrow. I went and I listened to the broadcast from the guys who call Kentucky basketball games. And I think that homerism is fine. But I think that Greg Sankey, SEC commissioner, needs to go listen to this broadcast, and he needs to issue an edict. And it is this. You cannot rip officials in official broadcasts from the team. All right? Kentucky's dumbass fan base takes their lead from Kentucky's dumbass media. And the Kentucky media makes a living trying to convince Kentucky fans that they're being maligned, that they're being unfairly treated, that the refs are out to get them. You go listen to the official Kentucky radio broadcast of this game, which was immediately circulating online afterwards, and all of the announcers, both of them, were constantly blaming Higgins for every call that he made. Every single one. Now, I'm not saying there's a problem with Homer announcers, but I think that Homer announcers, because they're Homer announcers, never criticize the home team. They never criticize the home team because they're being paid by the school. So the only criticism they ever pour out is against officials. And I think it sucks. I'm not claiming that officials are perfect. I think there are certainly officials who screw up all the time. But when you consider the amount of opportunities that Kentucky had to win that game, even if John Higgins was working entirely against them, they were up 5 points with 3 minutes to play. If they had run any kind of semblance of decent offense and not choked, they would have won 100% that game. If they had decided to cover Luke May in transition after they hit a crazy three to tie the game, they may well have won. The reason why Kentucky lost this game 100% was because of Kentucky players on the court. Blaming officials is a coward's way out. All you can control is your own effort. Kentucky had that game won. They were up 5 with 3 minutes to play, and now they're blaming officials for something that is 100% not the officials' fault. And again, I blame the Kentucky media. I'm not going to go after the individual idiot fans because you know that I believe that many people in the Kentucky fan base are total idiots. I also will say that the Kentucky fan base, many of whom I like, has to deal with the fact that they have all of these idiots inside their own fan base, and they need to start doing something to take issue with this. Okay? That's 100% the truth. That is what needs to happen. 100%, the Kentucky fan base needs to start self-policing itself. They need to start standing up to the idiots in their fan base. I honestly think what would help as well is that you need to have people here in this situation charged with crimes. I think we've gone way too far down the Rubicon. We've crossed the Rubicon here, and there is no way to defend grown-ass men and women threatening to kill somebody over a basketball game. I think you need to prosecute. I think you need to bring them into a courtroom, and I think you need to put people in jail. I'm over it. I really am. This happens on Twitter all the time. If you say it, you should have to stand by it. If you're threatening somebody's life over a basketball game, you should be charged with a crime, and you should stand trial for it. Period. That's the story. You want to make fans make their behavior better, you need to let them know that there are consequences to actions. That's why we have laws. This violates the law. When you send out a message and threaten to kill somebody, you're violating the law. At some point, it's going to happen, by the way. At some point, it's going to happen. One of these idiot fans is going to kill an official, or they're going to kill a coach. It's going to happen. And the way that you rein it in is by letting people know that your death threats have consequences. You can't do it. They're prosecuting everybody over the calls to the Israeli centers, the JCCs, as well they should. Why are they investigating and prosecuting those calls and not investigating and prosecuting these calls against the official? I think they should be treated the exact same. If you make a harassing phone call and threaten to kill somebody, you should be prosecuted with a crime. I think fans believe that there's nobody. It's like walking up to a tiger when the tiger is in the cage. They think they can just walk right up to the tiger and scream at him, and there's going to be no problem because the tiger's in the cage. You can't do anything. What's this official going to do? 100%, you have to do something to him, and you have to make somebody pay. And if you have to use a bunch of ignoramus, idiot Kentucky fans to make that statement, I think it's high time to do it. 100%. So Kentucky fans, if you're not familiar with the story, John Higgins made some calls. They blamed him for the loss. Instead of blaming their team, instead of blaming John Calipari for only recruiting 18-year-olds who have no idea how to play down the stretch, they blamed him. And as a result, he's had to meet with the FBI, he's had to meet with authorities, and all of them, everybody that they can track, 100% should be charged with a crime. Period. You threaten somebody's life, you should be charged with a crime. Don't allow it. Just like we don't allow people to make telephone calls and threaten bombs at Jewish community centers or schools or anywhere else, that's a crime. We need to prosecute it. If you send that message, you arrest a couple of fans and you prosecute them and you bring them into the light of day and embarrass them and humiliate them and make them pay for what they did, guess what? Going to be a lot of fans think twice before they decide to threaten somebody's life again over an athletic event. That's what I think. I think it 100% needs to happen. And I would encourage John Higgins to prosecute. I would encourage reasonably decent Kentucky fans, of whom there are many, in fact, the majority, to stand up and also encourage these guys to be prosecuted. And I think it needs to happen. Any questions about that? Time to start making some examples. I'm tired of it. I'm over it. Social media has created this universe where people believe that there's no consequences for what they say when they see somebody in a prominent place. And I'm over it. You can say anything you want to me, but it's time that people need to understand that this is a two-way street and that you can get lit up and charged with a crime and potentially go to jail for threatening somebody's life over a sporting event like this. 100% needs to happen. Got to send a message. A lot of fans are too dumb to otherwise understand it. They don't believe that there are going to be consequences for their actions. We need to start making consequences for actions. I'm going to talk about it on my radio show tomorrow. I would say it now. I would encourage you guys to also support it. Look, you can say anything you want, but if you walk up on the street to somebody and said, I'm going to kill you, then you would go to jail. If you showed up in public and said to somebody, I'm going to kill you, congressman's at a public event, you show up at the congressman's event, you take the mic and you say, I'm going to kill you, you would go to jail. They would charge you with a crime. You'd be on video, you'd go to crime. If you're doing that otherwise, you go to jail. We got to start creating expectations of behavior being the same, public and online. This is an important place to start, and we need to send a message on it. So that's the truth, 100%. Razorback Stadium. That's a stupid thing. I thought they had already passed the amendment. I applaud Greg Sankey, smart move here, SEC commissioner. Reasonable Razorback fans. And there are a lot of them. Even if you like guns, and I know people in the South love guns, I'm like you guys. I was raised with guns. I was firing my first gun when I was like 6 or 7 years old. You cannot in any way support the idea of taking guns to SEC football stadiums. I've been to every SEC football stadium, and regardless of the fan base, I've seen a lot of drunk people there, and I've seen a lot of angry people there. Passions run high. Passions plus alcohol plus firearms is a bad combination. Already we get people arrested at high rates based on their inability to control themselves. Bringing guns into Arkansas Razorback events, whether they're basketball, baseball, wherever they are, is an incredibly bad idea. I think it's disappointing that the state of Arkansas even got to this point. There should have been reasonably intelligent people in the legislature who said, okay, if we're going to pass this law, let's go ahead and exempt Razorback athletic events. I think the letter from Commissioner Greg Sankey made sense. I thought the amendment had already taken place. I wrote about it in my Friday mailbag. I thought the amendment had already been passed. I linked a AP article. It's just a really bad idea. Even if you are the biggest, most steadfast proponent of Second Amendment rights, which I'm sure many of the people watching this or listening to this will be, that is your right. I'm not begrudging you that. But even you have to recognize that is a bad combination, a bad idea to bring guns into those stadiums. And if you're like, well, what if terrorists come? Because inevitably people are like, well, what if terrorists come? There are tons of armed police officials inside those stadiums. The last thing we need is for some random drunk Arkansas fan or a visiting fan who's coming on the road to the game to decide to try to shoot somebody in a stadium to protect us from terrorists. It's an awful idea. There actually makes zero sense about it. And I hope that Arkansas is going to be able to amend this law. I'm confident that they will, because I think most reasonable people with decent working brains are all on the same side here. Okay, let me tell you about this. Is there anybody who disagrees? Is there anybody who wants to be able to bring guns to Arkansas games in a serious fashion, not in a funny fashion? Yeah, I don't think it makes sense at all. Okay, let me tell you about this. Right now, hard to balance baseball and real life. A lot of you are baseball fans, I know. Catching your team's games hard enough, let alone keeping up with the rest of the league on top of all your commitments. Right now, T-Mobile's giving you a free year of MLB TV Premium, so you can keep up with the games no matter where you are. With T-Mobile One, you get unlimited data to fuel your baseball habit. Unlimited baseball games on T-Mobile One. You like Major League Baseball? If you do, you need T-Mobile because they're giving away a free year of MLB TV Premium. That's a $113 value, absolutely free, only for T-Mobile customers. With T-Mobile One, you also get unlimited data. That means unlimited baseball. That means unlimited streaming. That means unlimited ability to watch me on your phone, on Facebook, or on Periscope. I love this idea. It makes total sense. You can keep up with your favorite team from anywhere and stream, post, and share all things Major League Baseball. It's unlimited. Again, if you don't love baseball, you get unlimited data just for me. How do you not love me? Look at this hair. Look at these triceps. How do you not love me? I'm giving it to you here now with T-Mobile. All you have to do is go get T-Mobile right now, unlimited data, and here's how you get it. Get T-Mobile. Obviously, that's the part. Second, download the T-Mobile Tuesdays app from the App Store. Third, and this is important, on April 4th, get your free year of MLB.TV Premium in the T-Mobile Tuesdays app. 100% get hooked up. That's it. Now just relax. Enjoy any out-of-market games, plus unlimited stats, highlights, and more. And remember, unlimited data. That means you get me as much as you can possibly watch me or listen to me. On April 4th, get your free year of MLB.TV Premium through the T-Mobile Tuesdays app or go to T-Mobile.com/MLB. And now I have to read this mandatory legal statement. Unlimited data, baby. Top 3% of data users use more than 30 gigs a month. May notice reduced speeds. Activate HD feature. Otherwise, video typically streams at 480p. Web-enabled mobile device and qualifying service required. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Blackouts and other restrictions apply. See terms of use for details. Again, go get hooked up with T-Mobile and MLB TV. All right, here we go. Did you guys see my article that just went up? I would encourage you guys to go read it. It's about why ESPN has moved left. A lot of you have been asking this question. I'm a radical moderate. Never voted for a Republican. Very middle of the road. I voted for Gary Johnson. It has been impossible to miss that ESPN has turned into a left-wing network, as I call them MSESPN. And I'm seriously sitting around over and over, and it's a question that you guys ask me on social media. It's a question that you guys email me all the time. Why has ESPN decided to go left-wing with their programming? What's the basis for this decision? It doesn't make any sense. They're losing audience. They're losing subscribers. It's a really bad idea. And then I hit on the reason. It's because Bob Iger, their CEO, is going to run for president in 2020 against Donald Trump. His CEO status at Disney runs out the summer before the election, just in time for him to come out and run for president. He's been quoted about it quite a bit. Everybody in Hollywood, according to him, wants him to run. He is going to run for president against Donald Trump in 2020. And he's using Disney, the companies that he runs at Disney, including ESPN, as evidence of what kind of president he would be. He's going to run as an inclusive billionaire against Donald Trump, who he's going to brand as an exclusive billionaire. Now, just looking at this from a political perspective, I think it's not a bad idea on his part. He thinks that he can beat Donald Trump because Donald Trump has the appeal of being an outsider. He's an outsider from a Democrat perspective who's been very successful running a $180 billion company. He's run a bigger company than Trump, and he's run it better than Trump. He's bought Marvel, he's bought Lucas Arts, which is Star Wars, and he's bought Pixar, and ESPN is starting to tank. And so I believe what's happening is Bob Iger is starting to model ESPN off his own political platform, and that is why ESPN has moved left-wing. I think they recognize that the business model is fundamentally broken, and what they also recognize is that the audiences aren't going to change that much. And so if he can point to ESPN as evidence of the kind of way that he would run the country, that is, we're going to employ all sorts of women, all sorts of minorities, we are going to allow a diverse and inclusive universe to take over, then he thinks he can beat Donald Trump. I think so, really. I think that you look at the other people that Trump could run against, they're typical politicians. They are open to Donald Trump's best attacks as being typical politicians. How would Donald Trump attack Bob Iger if he were able to get the Democratic nomination for president? He's a businessman like Trump. He served on Trump's manufacturing council. He is on Trump's manufacturing council right now. I think he sees Donald Trump's success and thinks, if Trump can do it, why can't I? I can raise a ton of money in Hollywood. I can run. I'm leaving Disney at the perfect time. I'm 66 years old. What else can I do? He just joined Twitter. Go read my article. I think it's one of the best pieces I've put together in terms of trying to think about why this would happen. Why would ESPN have become left-wing? Why would MSESPN have gone all in on the idea that left-wing politics is the way to the viewer's heart, when in reality, nobody wants to watch left-wing politics. Somebody left-wing sports. Somebody tweeted me yesterday. I don't remember who it was, but one of you did. And I don't watch much television. But they tweeted me a screenshot from ESPN, the 6, their sports center. What's the average audience for the 6, right? I don't watch TV, but again, an average person on the East Coast at 6 o'clock is a dude, middle-aged probably, who's kicking back on his couch with a beer in his hand, wanting to watch Sports Center at 6 at night, right? Want to get the news, want to see what you missed all day. You've been working all day. Maybe you've been chasing kids around, whatever you've been doing. The average guy who's watching the 6 is just kicking back on their couch, putting their feet up, and they want to see what the news of the day was, right? ESPN yesterday had a panel, all women, 4 women, discussing Joe Mixon. Now, I've discussed Joe Mixon a lot. But yesterday, there was a lot of news you could cover, right? Upcoming games. There's a great game going on between the Warriors and the Rockets. You had a soccer game that really mattered between the United States and Panama. You had the ongoing discussion of even if you want to go Colin Kaepernick, you had the ongoing discussion of what's going to happen with the Final Four. How many guys out there, and how many women as well in America, were like, you know what I would like? An all-female panel discussing Joe Mixon. A month before the actual draft, no connection whatsoever to the news of late. You could literally debate Joe Mixon any day. There wasn't any new news. There was nothing out there that mattered. It had been a while since he did his pro day. It's just an opportunity to have women sit around and talk about the guy who punched a woman. That's no. I look. I've been incredibly critical of Joe Mixon, and in fact, I've been critical of the way that story was covered in general. Okay, but why is it suddenly topical to talk about Joe Mixon? I try to talk about what's topical, right, on my show, and I make decisions every single day. Come in, sit down, and say, okay, what's our topic going to be today? Tomorrow I'm going to talk to Lane Kiffin. It's going to be incredible. Make sure you're up early to listen. If you're not, go subscribe to the Outkick podcast. I'm not going to talk Joe Mixon. Not unless Joe Mixon gets arrested today. We've talked Joe Mixon a lot. I might talk Joe Mixon the day before the draft. I might talk Joe Mixon after the second day of the draft. I might talk Joe Mixon if he gets drafted or doesn't get drafted as to where he should go. But otherwise, there's no need to talk Joe Mixon. And I refuse to believe that there's a huge element of people out there who came home from work at 6 o'clock Eastern, sat down in front of their couch, opened a beer, said, man, I want to relax after a long day of work, and wanted to have an all-female panel like it was The View discussing Joe Mixon. That's not what this audience wants. But that's what Bob Iger wants, because that's the kind of presidential campaign he's going to run. Go read it. I would encourage you guys to do it again. If you're just getting on, yes, we're going to have Lane Kiffin from 6 to 7 a.m. East Coast morning time on the show tomorrow. You'll be able to hear Lane Kiffin. First time he's ever done an interview with me, and I think it's going to be pretty fantastic for you guys. So 6 to 7 Eastern time tomorrow, Lane Kiffin. Interesting question about Bob Iger. I would encourage you guys to go read it and tell me whether or not you don't buy into the idea that there's a lot of truth to it. I think it's really well written. I think it's well thought, and I think it answers one of the primary questions that many of you have asked me over the past couple of years as ESPN has turned Caitlyn Jenner, Michael Sam, and Colin Kaepernick into modern-day left-wing heroes. Why is ESPN moving left-wing when the audience isn't there? I think it's because Bob Iger is trying to run Disney as his own personal presidential campaign. Additional thoughts. I don't know if you guys saw this, but my guy, Shaun King, a.k.a. Talcum X, as many of you call him on Twitter, Talcum X got paid by my alma mater, Vanderbilt University, to come speak. It was an absurd situation that my alma mater chose to pay him to come speak. And he decided to fire back at me after I took a shot at him. He had me blocked for a long time. So I don't even know exactly how he was able to, he unblocked me, I guess, to go see what I said, because so many of you had retweeted it. But Talcum X spoke at Vanderbilt last night, a.k.a. Shaun King, a.k.a. the most dishonest, lying white man in America today. And he said, here's what I tweeted. Sorry, I'll go back and track down our situation. I tweeted, hey, Vanderbilt, how much did you pay that race-baiting, fake black guy, idiot, Shaun King, to speak on campus today? School should be ashamed, and I stick by that. The school should be incredibly ashamed of using this white guy. And by the way, people say, what's a fake black guy? He's white. He's white. He's just like Rachel Dolezal, except the left wing has embraced Shaun King. He's a white dude. On his birth certificate, he has a white dad and a white mom. Throughout the entire time that he was in school, he was identified as white by all of his teachers. He's a white dude who decided to cut his hair short and try to pretend to be black. It's one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. I offered thousands of dollars to him to take a DNA test and prove that he had any African DNA at all. All right? 100%. And he responded to me to that tweet, "Do you really want to know? More than you'll ever make speaking at a university, and the students and staff of your alma mater loved me." First of all, I'm sure that's not the case. Secondly, I guarantee you I make a lot more money than Shaun King. Further, I make a lot more money, and I'm a lot smarter, and I'm a lot more honest, and Vanderbilt really should have me on campus to speak, because I guarantee you I would produce a huge crowd, and they would love me. And by the way, that goes for any school, anywhere in the country. Any college, you can email me, claytravis@gmail.com. I will go to your school. If you pay me enough money, I'll go anywhere. But I would love to come talk at your school. You just saw me talk at Tennessee. Vanderbilt paying Talcum X to come speak on campus is an absolute insult to the school. Now, if he wants to come speak for free, I'm totally fine with it. But using student funds to support this fucking loser is, to me, categorically unacceptable. And then I responded, "Hey, Talcum X, congrats to you on being the highest paid fake black man to ever speak at a university. Historic moment." Schools would love me. I had a huge crowd. You guys saw it. I put it up on Periscope. I put it up on Facebook. We had a massive crowd come see me speak at the University of Tennessee. You don't have to agree with me. I'm a First Amendment absolutist, but I will be the best speaker that your school has ever seen. Hate to brag, but I'll be the best speaker that your school has ever seen. Go anywhere. I say anywhere. You pay me enough money, I'll go anywhere. Otherwise, I will pick and choose where I want to go speak based on do I want to go there or not, and does it fit my schedule. But anyway, you can reach out to me. I'm happy to do it. Finally, did you guys see the news about the Indonesian man who got eaten by a snake? This is one of the most scary stories I've ever seen. I didn't believe this was real. The BBC, I pulled it up. Listen to this. This is an unbelievable story. A missing Indonesian man was found dead inside the body of a python, according to local police. Akbar went missing on Sunday, tough day for Akbar, on the island of Sulawesi after leaving to harvest palm oil. In the search for the 25-year-old, police told BBC Indonesian that they had found a huge snake they suspected had swallowed the man. And yes, I saw the video. The reticulated python was cut open and the man's body was found inside. They are the world's longest reptiles and suffocate their victims before swallowing them whole. Pythons rarely kill and eat humans, although there are occasional reports of them swallowing young children. The spokesman for the police said that he had been missing for 24 hours. They conducted a search and found the snake near the family's plantation. They didn't find him. This is a quote. But the villagers saw an unmoving python in the ditch. They grew suspicious that maybe the snake had him inside. When they cut it open, he was inside the snake. They said they heard cries from the palm grove the night before. When the snake was captured, this is an unbelievable story. When the snake was captured, the boots Akbar was wearing were clearly visible in the stomach of the snake. You guys know that I hate snakes. I am the most anti-snake human being on the planet. The fact that this poor bastard got strangled and eaten by a snake is maybe the worst way to die in America. Maybe the worst way to die in America. I don't trust animals. You can see this scar. I got bit by a German Shepherd when I was 6 years old. People are like, "Oh, dog's man's best friend." Not true. Don't trust animals. Every single person has an animal. That animal wants you dead. You see the story? Spiders could eat every human in the whole country 1 year. Spiders wanted to. I'm telling you. One day they're going to rise up against us. Nobody's listening to me right now. Snakes are going to rise up against us. All these other animals, they're coming after us. Coming after us a heartbeat. All right, I appreciate everybody coming. I got to go get my kids at school. My name is Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show. Go to oddshark.com for all of your gambling and informational related needs. I am the sexiest man who does a daily show on Facebook and on Periscope. Tomorrow morning, early in the morning, 6 a.m. East Coast time, we will have Lane Kiffin on for 1 hour. Come hang out with us 6 to 7. If you're not able to get up that early, the podcast will be up shortly after the show ends. We'll also play another segment of it from 8 to 9. Jason Whitlock's going to join us as well. I am Clay Travis. You're listening to Outkick the Coverage. And this, my friends, this has been Outkick the Show. Love y'all.